Today is a major, major day in the football world. But before we get to a little talk about Justin Fields and Najee Harris, as in Justin Fields, the quarterback, we got to talk about Justin Fields, the special teamer. Hello, everybody. On May 2nd, 2024 at 3 p.m. Eastern sharp, the Southside Beat is here. Chris Halicke has his arms folded. He's running his hands over his face. I'm Corey Crisan. I am puzzled at some of the stuff that I heard, read, saw today. We'll get to Najee Harris pretty soon, as we are 1 hour away now from the deadline for the Steelers to formally submit their intent to pick up his fifth-year option for 2025. But first, Chris, Justin Fields in special teams? Question mark, question mark, question mark, exclamation point maybe?
I have a bone to pick with Jaylen Warren.
Good.
Whenever I finally make it up to training camp, I'm going to first conversation I have with Jaylen Warren, this is going to come up. I'll put it that way.
Why is the question?
So, okay, Jaylen goes on Cam Hayward's podcast, and they bring up the kickoff rules and stuff like that. And I think somebody was asking, or they asked him, like, if he would be interested in returning kicks because of the new format and everything like that, the new rule. And he was like, yeah, I don't know. And then fans who were there because it was like a live show were like, yeah, that'd be. They're like, no, don't do that because we want you to stay healthy and be on the offense and everything like that. And then Jaylen talks about how Danny Smith said that Justin Fields might return kicks. And the fire took, it spread faster than diseases I'm not allowed to talk about on the show.
Jeez, I didn't think you were going that far ahead.
It's just holy crap, man.
Jeez.
It's I can't even do this. You're gonna have to talk about it. I can't do it. It's ridiculous.
So I think if this has any merit to it, okay, and what Jaylen Warren was saying about Danny Smith floating that idea around is true. Number one, it's not going to happen. Number two, I think right now what we're seeing is, and this could be a product of it, and Mr. CJ says, why even kid like that? Look, I think right now what teams are doing, it's not just the Steelers. Teams are finding new ways to, I don't want to say exploit, but to really get the best out of this new rule, right? The new kickoff rule is that nobody's allowed, it's the XFL kickoff rule. Nobody's allowed to move on special teams until the ball is caught or touched by the receiver, by the returner, or by somebody, right? So with that said, teams are now adjusting their lineups, orders, rosters even. That's why you saw Cordero Patterson be signed, not just as a weapon for Arthur Smith, but now as a weapon for special teams. So that's why some teams drafted special teamers on day 3 to try to get around this.
If I can interject really quick, I was at the annual meeting whenever Patterson was signed. The rule gets passed. And the very next day, the Steelers signed Patterson. And the thing is that news didn't break until the afternoon, late afternoon, almost early evening. That was already done in the morning. I know that for a fact. That signing was already done in the morning. There were just some T's to cross and I's to dot before it could really be even leaked out to the media, but that was already done. So it wasn't even 24 hours later that the Steelers already had one of the more accomplished kick returners in NFL history signed in the wake of that rule being passed. But no, they're gonna let Justin Fields do it. I can't do this.
Oh, come on. Yeah, you can. Where are you going? Where'd he go? Chris got up and walked away. I don't know if he actually has to do something, but Barber, thanks for the 5 gifted. We appreciate that. If you picked one of those up, drop some emojis. Give a thanks to Barber. That's being very generous, Barber. Thank you. CJ says, so why is Patterson there? That's why Patterson's there. Lori says, is this a bit? Chris, is this a bit? If it's a bit, I don't know.
It's not a bit. Okay. So
I don't know if
I believe that what Jalen, I'm not saying that Jalen Warren's a liar at all. I believe that there's a very real possibility, probably 100% possibility that I lost my train of thought. I'm getting a text right now because I'm with Najee, I've got text out to sources right now trying to reach out about Najee. So I see a text. I'm like,
that wasn't it, was it?
No, it was not. Unfortunately, no. But I believe that Danny Smith said what Jalen said, but it was most likely just wouldn't that be nice? Or can you imagine something like that with how great of an athlete that he is? Could you imagine something like that? Maybe we should get Justin Fields to do it.
Yes.
I will put it this way. It is May 2nd, 2024. Multiple people here in the Southside Beat forum, fan group, whatever you want to call yourselves, the Southside Beat Army, whatever it is.
The Asylum community, sure.
May 2nd, 2024. I will shave my beard completely, razor and all, if Justin Fields returns one kick for the Steelers.
Mark the tape, 3:07 p.m., May 2nd, 2024. Mark the tape.
It's not happening.
CJ says, slow week at the facility. Yes, it is, actually. That's the thing. It is a slow news week. Here's actually a bit of piece of news. Invites for rookie minicamp are going out, and Pitt cornerback Marquez Williams got an invite today. So there's a piece of, I guess, local news. James brings up something actually poignant. It's funny because Justin Fields is fast and can probably return kicks well. I think James is right. I think, here's the thing, okay? With this new kickoff rule, given, players can't move on the other side of the football until the ball is touched by the returner.
Yeah.
Theoretically, what if Fields and, let's say it's Calvin Austin are back there, and, Fields gets the ball and they run some kind of gadget play out of that. But
he can't make a forward pass out of it.
But he can do a lateral. You can still do a lateral out of it.
You need so what if they do lateral?
What if? But what if? I know you don't, but what if? And yeah, why are people weirded out by this? Because number one, it's out there. It's so zany that it's really, why? And also the fact that Jalen Warren of all people said it when I don't know. I just don't think he had to say it. And to be honest with you, if you go back and listen to that interview, he said it unprompted. He wasn't asked oh, what about Justin? No, he was it's funny. By the way, Justin Fields might do, and that's when it caught wildfire online. So I don't think it's going to happen either. But at the same time, if Jalen's saying it didn't come out of nowhere. So
I'm not saying it didn't.
I know, but it didn't come out of nowhere. Stephen A says, let's shift the conversation to something that I think is going to re-rack Chris's brain.
Because I just final thing on that whole thing, and then I can tie a nice little bow on this and hopefully throw it away forever.
Well, you said you're going to ask Jalen about it in Latrobe.
Well, or at least throw it away until July, just because, yeah. Can you just imagine the vitriol that would come from fans if Justin Fields returned a kick and got injured? I mean, can you they would already be mad if he returned a kick and fumbled, which, by the way, he fumbles quite a bit. But can you imagine the reaction by fans if he were back there returning kicks and he got injured during a kickoff?
Yeah. Something
that is completely unnecessary. That's all I gotta say. That it just I can't. All right, yeah, let's move on to Najee.
You are. I didn't think. I'll be honest. I didn't think you were going to be this upset about it. I did not think you would be this upset over it.
Social media, to me, it can serve a lot of great purposes, but this is one of those times where social media really just flat out pisses me off because the most ridiculous things, there's a story about it on ESPN. Like, come on. Like, it's just like, people need to know, need to be able to understand when something shouldn't be taken this seriously. But because of the social media age and the way things can just catch fire and literally take off and become literally spread like a virus, spread like the way a virus spreads, like it's completely unstoppable. That's what social media is. That's how things go viral. And sometimes the most stupid things can go viral. It's just ridiculous.
Well, hey,
there's no football notion to this.
I'm hashtag team content, and this is all good for team content. So it gave us 11 minutes of hashtag team content today. Let's go to real content if you want. As Stephen A brings up in the chat, less than 1 hour on Najee Harris watch. By 4 p.m. Eastern, in about 49 minutes from right now, the Steelers have to make a decision on whether they pick up an option for the 5th year on Najee Harris's contract for about $7 million, give or take. I believe it's $6.8 million for that 5th year. That would be in 2025. Thank you. I could do math. So the Steelers have to decide on that. To me, I think it's a no-brainer that they pick it up. They clearly went throughout the offseason building for something like this. Yeah. They clearly went through this offseason with the game plan to get back to Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren being the focal points of the game plan. And quite frankly, based on the market for the running backs, combine that with what the Steelers actually do and do well and want to do and do well, it would make more sense than not to pick up the option, but you never truly know. And look, I don't know if it's, Lori says, why are they being so mysterious about this? It's not even that. It's one of two things. Either they have decided on it already and they're just kind of waiting, which they can. All that matters is that the league gets the paperwork by 4 p.m. Or it hasn't been decided yet and they're figuring things out as we speak.
Yeah, I don't think that they're really figuring this out at the last minute. I think they've already made their decision. This is just the way the Steelers do business. They don't have to. This isn't any like gigantic decision in which they're teetering and they're tottering. They're like, they've probably already made their decision a long time ago. They just don't have to officially file it until a certain time.
Right.
So I don't think they have their reasons for keeping their cards close to the vest. Maybe it's because of roster building. Maybe it's just for whatever reason. But, anytime he's been asked about it, Omar's been asked about it since the combine, and then again at the annual meeting, and then again during the draft process. He's just been like, we have until May 2nd to make that decision.
Yeah.
And so, it's just something they don't have to really decide right away. And I think they pick it up. I'd be shocked if they didn't pick it up. I don't think it's because somebody says they're going to trade him, or maybe they trade him. No, like this is, if I were a betting man, that they're picking this up. It's $6.79 million, almost $6.8 million for somebody who's had 3 1,000-yard seasons in his first 3 seasons. It seems like a no-brainer to me.
Well, look what they did in the draft, too. If the Steelers were theoretically going to trade Najee Harris, they would have done it before the draft to recoup a pick back. Maybe they get a 4th-round, 5th-round pick, what have you, out of it, and they're able to draft a running back with a different pick and help recoup some of that value. Like, the Cordero Patterson signing is not enough to move the needle away from Najee Harris. It just simply isn't. And Jaylen Warren alone is not enough to move the needle away from Najee Harris either. So it's so conventional that they pick it up. It's just a matter of picking it up. If they were going to not re-sign Najee for sure, then again, I think we would have seen more of a contingency plan in the draft. I'll have to go back and look at that 4th round. I could do that here shortly. I'll have to go back and look at that 4th round, but see what running backs were available at the time the Steelers took Mason McCormick. If they had belief that Najee Harris was not going to be a Steeler in 2024, at least by the time the draft rolled around, and by that point they had months to figure that out, then they would have probably drafted somebody. So it's conventional at the stage. And yeah, Najee's never missed a game. He's very durable. Obviously, the production is another thing, but he's there. That's a player that's there.
He's not been the most efficient running back, but he's been productive. And those, I think in today's day and age, again, when we look at analytics across sports, that some people have gotten to the point where you can only define a player as productive if they're efficient, and I don't think that that's necessarily the case. You can't deny the production that's there. Like I said, 1,000-yard season in each of his first 3 seasons, that's production, especially in today's NFL, in which, I mean, how many running backs got 1,000 yards last year?
Sure.
And the fact that he did that while sharing a significant portion of the snaps with Jaylen Warren. Part of that is the offense and how often the Steelers run the football, but still, if you're in a timeshare at all, if it's 65-35 or 60-40, anything like that, and you still get 1,000 yards, like, you're productive. Efficient is a different story. You'd like to see somebody with Najee's capabilities probably average closer to 4.5 yards a carry, something like that. And I think his average for his career is in the high 3s. You'd like to see a little bit better efficiency, but you have to take into account, offensive coordinator was not very good. Offensive line has been at best over the course of an entire season average. There have been times where the offensive line has played really well, and look at what Najee's done when the offensive line has played very, very well.
Yeah.
He's looked like a completely different running back. Like I'm just saying, like down the stretch last year, I'm like, he looked like a completely different running back, and that's when the offensive line was playing their best.
For those who might be afraid, and I think that's a harsh word, but afraid that they're not going to pick Najee's option up, okay? Like I mentioned, going back to the 4th round of the draft. And that would have been, for me, it would have been like a sweet spot. If the Steelers were not going to pick up Najee's 5th-year option and they had knowledge of this before the draft. If they had knowledge of this before the draft and didn't do anything about it, then that's on them. But given they didn't, it's safe to assume that they're going to pick that option up. They drafted Mason McCormick 119th overall, the 19th pick in the 4th round. There was a pretty significant run of running backs that went off the board not long after that, towards the back half of the 4th round. The very next pick by Miami was Tennessee running back Jalen Wright at 120. Bucky Irving out of Oregon went 125th, so 6 picks later. And then 2 picks after that at 127 began a run of 3 running backs in a row, and all 3 of these are really good. Will Shipley of Clemson went to the Eagles. Ray Davis of Kentucky went to the Bills. And Isaac Guerendo, who for me is a tremendous, tremendous fit here, went to the 49ers from Louisville. I really liked Guerendo in this whole process. Very athletic running back. And if the Steelers were really looking at running back in this draft, that would have been my guy. And then Braylon Allen went 34th at 134 overall to the Jets, the Wisconsin running back. So right after McCormick was picked is when a really significant run of running backs went. And then when you go to the 5th round, let's see real quick. Audric Estime out of Notre Dame went to the Broncos 147th. Let's see. And I think, and then there was another run, 3 in a row at 165, 166, 167. And then at 173, another one was taken. So my point is there was a significant run of running backs between the 4th and the 5th round, kind of as expected. And the Steelers could have had a pick right there. Could have had basically a pick of the litter of there. I didn't look at who was drafted before them, but like that's major stuff there. So look, one way or another, I think it gets picked up. Now, CJ says, what if they don't pick it up? CJ says, hold in if they don't.
No, I mean, you could possibly, but I think not picking up the 5th-year option kind of already tells Najee what the Steelers are thinking. Now, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they decline the 5th-year option. See, to me, it doesn't make sense, though, to decline the 5th-year option and then to be like, okay, let's talk contract extension. To me, it makes way more sense to pick up the 5th-year option. And then if you want to have contract extension discussions, see, again, even then that doesn't make sense because that wouldn't really need to take place until next year because the player, the running back that they would need to have contract extension talks with this summer would be Jaylen Warren, not Najee Harris.
Also, let me put it to you in this fashion. Okay, who would you say is the best running back in the NFL? Christian McCaffrey, safely. Yeah. Okay, Najee Harris is not Christian McCaffrey. Okay, we all know that.
No.
So if he was, let's say Najee Harris was Christian McCaffrey, right, or was as good as Christian McCaffrey, seeing how the running back market is going right now, right? Are teams ponying up the big money for the running backs? If there was foresight that the market was going to jump significantly next offseason compared to this offseason, of course, with the salary cap going through the roof every offseason as it rises, like those running back markets are going to be more expensive year after year. So theoretically, if the Steelers really wanted to extend Najee Harris, maybe they are looking into how much would it cost to extend him now versus next offseason on a year-to-year basis. And would they be able to save some money by doing it now versus later? However, Najee Harris is not Christian McCaffrey. So that being said, like, you have to look at, like you said too, at the Jaylen Warren situation. You have to look at what Arthur Smith's offense is, and if that actually benefits Najee Harris. These offensive linemen still have to work out. Fautanu and Frazier, for as great as they were in college, they still have to pan out. They still have to fit. They still have to play NFL games and produce. There's optimism there, but they still have to produce. And if that line doesn't block well for Najee Harris this year, and you already locked him into this long-term big money contract, then you're locked in. I mean, you can't do anything about it. It just makes total sense on every single corner to pick up the 5th-year option and then, lack of better phrase here, deal with it down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's anything to necessarily deal with because, again, you could get Najee Harris for, especially if he really thrives and has that, and he turns that corner into becoming not just a productive running back, but a productive and efficient running back, which in my opinion would make him probably a top 5 running back in the league. You're talking about still possibly getting a bargain or at least a fair price, market price for Najee Harris if they were to slap the franchise tag on him to keep him for a 6th year.
Yeah.
So really, in theory, they could have him for another 3 years, 3 seasons. And I don't remember what his cap hit is this year, but if you were to add up what his cap hit is this year, the $6.79 million 5th-year option next year, and then whatever his price would be in in that sixth season, if you were to take that and put it as a 3-year X amount of dollar contract fully guaranteed, especially if he gives you the production that you would expect, to me, that's a good contract. It would just be a very, very backloaded contract, obviously. So it wouldn't work out the way that a contract would typically work with the way the Steelers structure it. But at the same time, you'd still be getting really good. You'd be getting the production you want from running back and paying a good price for it.
Sure.
Especially because even next year, if he's making almost $6.8 million and he becomes that productive and efficient running back, you're still going to be getting a deal.
Right.
He will be a higher value than what he's being paid.
Do you think Arthur Smith's looking at that running backs room and seeing Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier 2.0? I mean, that's what the Steelers have. They have 2 running backs that make up that similar backfield that Arthur Smith just had in Atlanta. Like, again, every single box that you could possibly bring up to say, should you pick up the option, should you not? Every single box that we have discussed so far has suggested, yeah, they should pick up that option. There's nothing that indicates that they're not going to. But at the same time, like, there are factors to consider. And those factors all go in Najee Harris's favor, getting that option picked up. So it just makes too much sense. And let's shift the conversation real quick to assuming they pick up. Okay, let's give this podcast some legs. Let's say they pick up this 5th-year option. We haven't seen anything yet. Nothing's been announced by the team.
If I'm looking down a lot, it's because I'm checking my phone like crazy or even trying to text more people.
Right. It's 3:25 p.m. as we do this live. Let's just, for the sake of conversation, say they picked up the option. What's next? It's going to be looking at trades for wide receivers still. It's going to be continuing to build that offense. It's going to be getting rookie minicamp going. Like, there's really not much going on between now and next Friday when rookie minicamp begins. So I think it was CJ in our chat who said slow news day on the South Side. Yes, it is. It's a slow news week. It's going to be a slow news week for the next week. So, this is what's happening. This is what we're kind of looking for here. For the sake of conversation, if and when they pick this option up, what's next? What's next? Because as Tigers fan 42 says, are they going to pay both him and Jalen?
Well, that's
why a big thing to consider next offseason.
Well, again, that's why you pick up the 5th-year option now, and then you go into the summer and you have a number in mind of what you would try to re-sign Jalen Warren. Because remember, Jalen Warren was an undrafted free agent, which means that the contract he signed is not your typical 4-year contract for rookies. It was a 3-year deal.
Yep.
So that means that he is a restricted free agent at the end of the season. Now, restricted free agent means he doesn't have enough NFL service time to become unrestricted and have free reign over where he wants to sign. The Steelers still have rights and still have the ability to match depending on what type of tender they were to offer. And I would assume that given Jalen Warren's production from undrafted free agent into legitimate like 1B running back, not even number 2, but like 1B to Najee, that they would want to continue to do business with him. I would be shocked if they decided no, thank you. So I would assume that they go into the summer with the intention of possibly approaching Jalen about a possible contract extension of some kind. They may not. They may just think, listen, restricted free agency isn't the same as unrestricted free agency. We still have the right to him. We still have the right to negotiate that contract in the offseason with the, capability of being able to match whatever other teams, with whatever other teams offer him. But they also might want to get the cart in front of the horse, because what if Najee goes down with a serious injury, Jalen becomes the feature back, and Jalen turns into an all-pro. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden that contract's going to get a lot bigger. And you could have, gotten him to a much better deal, much more team-friendly deal if you would have approached him about a contract extension ahead of time. So that'll be something. It's one of those things where obviously you go into training camp primarily to look for position battles, shape of the roster, which outside players have a chance. So it's all roster-based stuff. But then there's that stuff that's in the background, those contract negotiations, those possible contract extensions. That's one thing I'm going to be watching for this summer for sure.
It's like when I asked Omar Khan at the Combine, hey, are you engaging in talks with Deontay? And then he was gone 2 weeks later. Oh. Never know when things are going to change either. Mm-mm. So, Joshua says, pay your man or just say, screw it, draft another one in the 3rd round. Like, if they were considering that strongly, they would have maybe gotten ahead of it this year, or they would get ahead of it next year and do it next year. So I'm curious to see what they do. I think they pick it up. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it should come without any pomp and circumstance. I feel like we're going to get a press release dropped at 3:59:59.
Yeah, probably.
Knowing the way they do things.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job of keeping this under wraps so it's not leaking to the media, because I think with 31 minutes to go, maybe like 30 minutes to go, that nobody's gotten it yet. That seems a little. Yeah, they're probably doing a really good job of keeping that under wraps.
Oh yeah, it's not if they pick it up, it's okay. We knew, like that's what you probably should have done. We kind of figured. And as Ben says, watch what they do, not what they say. That is very true. Yeah, that is absolutely true. All right, good 30 minutes today. Strong 30 minutes today. We appreciate you all joining in with us. If you want to know whether they pick that 5th-year option up on Najee Harris, you're gonna have to go to DKPittsburghSports.com. Within the next 45 minutes or so.
It'll be in
half
our
hour or
feed.
so. It'll be in the feed there. So that's where you want to go find that news. And make sure, if you have not done so yet, download the app. Free on the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store. You can sign up for free notifications for your favorite team. It's your own personalized social media feed right there.
Also,
no trolls either. Go ahead.
Also, brand new Chalk Talk at the top of the site right now. Complete deep dive on Roman Wilson. That was one of my favorite films to really break down. I watched every single one of his targets as part of my film study, and then also watched a decent amount of run blocking examples, and put 2 of them in there. I think you guys are gonna like this guy. So, yeah, no, that was a fun one to do, and of course we have the baseball reference right here at the very end.
0.39, 6.83 K to walk rate.
Hell, he's not coming to Pittsburgh yet. And honestly, to be completely honest here, I mean, the Pirates don't necessarily need Paul Skeens right now. Pitching is not the problem with the Pirates.
Paul Skeens is going to become the pitching version of the Mike Trout joke, where it's Mike Trout hit a grand slam, and Shohei Ohtani became the first pitcher to strike out so-and-so batter since Tungsten Arm O'Doyle in 1910. Oh, and the Angels lost. Like, that's what Paul Skeens is going to be. It's going to be like Paul Skeens pitched 8 shutout innings and the Pirates lost 2-1. That's what Paul Skeens is going to be.
Yeah, that's funny, man. Really quick, because we are talking about 5th-year options. We didn't even talk about it. Just really quick. Justin Fields is a 5th-year option. It's already been reported that the Steelers aren't going to pick it up, but let's just say it on here. It's not official yet, but I sincerely doubt the Steelers are going to pick up Justin Fields' 5th-year option.
Conversely to Najee Harris, yes. I'd be stunned if they picked up Fields' 5th year.
Yeah, over $25 million for him next year, for when he hasn't even played a snap in your offense. Yeah, no,
it's a lot for a kick returner.
Oh God,
it's a very expensive kick returner. Got to be careful.
Oh, it's so painful. It hurts.
All right, within the next half hour, we'll find out if Najee Harris will certainly be a Steeler in 2025. But as of today, May 2nd, 2024, at about 3:32 Eastern, we don't have that word yet. So we'll find out. DKPittsburghSports.com, the Steelers feed, is where you're going to want that information within the next half hour. Whenever it happens, don't forget again to download the app. Free in the Apple App Store, free in the Google Play Store. Download it for free. Get your notifications for Pirates, Pens, Steelers, Pitt, Penn State, Robert Morris, Duquesne, and now Pittsburgh Riverhounds. I was over at Highmark Stadium today getting the lay of the land, getting to talk to some people. Tomorrow I'll be at practice.
Training.
Yeah, you can put it that way.
Nope, for training. It's not practice. You got to get the vernacular right when it comes to covering association football.
All right, fine. I'm going to their training session tomorrow morning.
There you go.
Well.
There you go.
So I'm going to check out the Hounds tomorrow morning as they train for Saturday's match against Miami. And looking forward to it.
I love hearing the vernacular spoken correctly. It's great.
Jeez.
No, it's
you were all angry. You're going through the emotions today.
Hey, you know what? I'm coming up on menopause. All right. I'm approaching that age.
Jeez, man. You're in your mid-30s. You're fine.
I know. I'm still a little ways from that. Midlife crisis is in probably about I'm 37, maybe 3 or 4 years away.
Oh,
how's that gonna look?
We will we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I suppose. Let's cross this bridge. Let's bridge you all onto Friday. You'll have Chris tomorrow, but not me. I will be at PNC Park.
Oh yeah.
Seeing why the Pirates can't hit still. Asking people why the Pirates still can't hit.
Oh, boy.
I'm just hoping I don't strike out on getting that information.
Have
a good day, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Chris will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Cheers.